Good afternoon, all, and welcome back to another informative panel discussion on COVID 19 learning for the education sector, new age practices. On day two of third Global Education in SKIN Conclave. Let me introduce you to the eminent speakers of this panel, but before that, let me introduce you to the moderator of the session. I would like to welcome Mr. Vikram Shah, Chief Business Officer of UniApply. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Now, the speakers of this particular session. I would like to welcome Dr. Nidhi Nijwan, Principal, Mount Deterra Zeel School, Ghaziabad. I think she's just exited. Okay. Then we have Dr. Manjeet Kaur Makkar from Director Academics of CT Group of Schools and Colleges. We welcome you, ma'am.
Good morning, one and all. I'm Dr. Manjeet Kamakkar, and it's a great pleasure for us to join this session.
We have Dr. Sunita Swaraj, Principal of the Heritage School, Vasant Kunj, Delhi. Welcome, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you.
We have Dr. Vasudha Neelmani, Principal, Rockwoods International School, Udaipur. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Look forward to.
Now I'm handing over this particular session to Mr. Vikram Shah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, APEC team, for organizing this webinar. And thank you so much for the eminent panelists for joining this webinar. My name is Vikram, and I represent uniapply.com. For all the viewers, UniApply is a common application platform which is transforming and digitizing school applications and admission process. UniApply is a product of No Paper Form, and No Paper Form is currently working with more than 500 universities and business schools in India and supporting their needs with respect to attract, engage with students across the board. I have with me the eminent and well-known panelists and principals from three states today, and they will throw light largely on the topic which is given to us with respect to the COVID-19 learnings for the education sector, and what are the new age practices which has been adopted by various schools across the board. Given we have now three states representation, it will help us to understand in detail in terms of what is happening on the ground, what are the state protocols, how schools are adopting it, how parents are viewing it, and where we will go from here with respect to COVID-19 and hybrid learning, if at all I have to use that term hybrid learning, because clearly schools had started and now we are again at a scare of new variant of COVID. So we need to understand that as well with respect to educators. So let me welcome Dr. Sunita Swaraj from the Heritage School, Vasant Kunj. And I would request you, ma'am, that if you can throw some light with respect to what has happened on the ground from a state policy point of view in Delhi, and what you have done in your school, and what has changed in the last 6 months.
Thank you, Vikram. It's just amazing to actually see how we are interacting from various places. And we've come together because I remember attending conferences and difficulties in people coming together and sharing and learning, you know. So this is just brilliant. And I think COVID has helped us connect so much. Now, with regards to what's happening on the ground right now, I mean, I've got children right from nursery to grade 12 in school. Now, we opened in October, and I had I had 50% yes from parents, and 30% turned in. So I was at least glad that 30% were here. With regards to the state policy, I think it's been amazing to see that the government has really taken up this step to, it requires a lot of courage to really do this. So in Delhi per se, I mean, since the parents come from various sectors and they're very aware parents. So I mean, opening the school was a challenge for the government, but the way they've really opened it up with so much of courage, I really appreciate that, because it's important for us to break that barrier, mental, physical, both, and social. So it is, this is a very smart generation, and they prefer sitting back home. And who wants to write? They are more on, they're a tech generation, and they would like to type, and they're very comfortable. And especially in Delhi, every child has a room at home, and every child has been blessed with all those gadgets, and they're very happy with that. So they don't want to come. And I'm sure, Vikram, you are a parent. जो बच्चा बोलेगा हम वो कर ही लेते हैं, because we all have, I think, एक दो बच्चे हैं, तो बड़ा होता है कि so the children convince us. As I was mentioning, that is a very smart generation. उनमें इतनी convincing power होती है कि माँ बाप कहते हैं चलो जी ठीक है. But I would today request my parents that it is important for the children to come in, because the kind of emotional growth that the children need, the kind of social presence that they need, the kind of social interaction and connections that the children need, it's important for the children to be in school and experience this kind of a beautiful learning. अब learning तो there are so many applications जहाँ से बच्चे खूब सीख रहे हैं. और मेरे ख्याल से we don't have to really teach today's children. So I am trying to bring in a student-led school out here. We don't need to teach them. They're a smart generation. They need to do some research back home, come in here and have conversations, discussions, and learn from each other. That's the kind of generation we have today. So gone are those days that a teacher would stand by the, the board, and she's gonna just teach, and the children are gonna be like this. Those days are out. This generation needs a lot of freedom, a lot of authenticity. A teacher saying, or anybody saying that I don't know, because the generation is smart, and let the generation, learn from all these Google Babas and all these Babas that we have currently around. There's so much, but we need to be the guide, mentor, and we need to see if our child is going the right way. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that elaborate answer. And what I could pick from your answer is that starting October, the schools had started in Delhi, at least from a heritage Vasant Kunj point of view. And you are seeing around in the beginning, you could see around 50% attendance coming in the school. But to some extent, if I have to kind of additionally ask a question, are you looking at that 50% across the board? Or largely in the higher grades, you have seen more turnouts than in the lower grades?
You'll be very surprised. I have more turnout in the lower grades. The junior children, the preschool children, the pre-primary children, the middle school, they're so excited to be here. In fact, the senior children are, they would prefer to be in their own little corners in the house. But then junior children are so excited, so thrilled to be here, and they're wearing their masks, and they are, so they've been groomed so well by the parents that because I remember Amitabh Bachchan saying that मेरी granddaughter मुझे सिखाती है कैसे apps पे काम करना है. So that's the kind of generation we're dealing with. So yeah, junior school.
Great, ma'am. Great to hear that that junior school has more in physical attendance than the senior school. So let me quickly go to Dr. Manjeet Kaur, Director Academics at the City Group of Institutions. Ma'am, what has been your learning on the ground since your institutions are based in Delhi largely? How has been your experience with respect to the COVID era, and what is you in particular and your institutions are doing? Ma'am, you are on mute.
Sir, first of all, our institution, they are in Punjab. 17 institutions we do have in Jalandhar, and university that is in Ludhiana itself. As we know that due to this,
At this from a school's point of view, your schools are based in Punjab
yes,
and
they are Punjab. Yes, yes. You see, in a pandemic, we know the children all over, all across the world, they have suffered from this effect. And globally, over to 1.2 billion of the children, they have been affected by it. And the dropout rate in all over the world, it is very high. And only in India itself, 32 crores children, they have been affected. But still, after the school, when the school have been reopened, our education warriors, they have played a wonderful role. You see, our teachers, they are not well equipped before this pandemic, but what a wonderful job they have done. It is really awesome, and I salute my all the principals and teachers how they have come up the education with the online education, and they have prepared so many PPTs. There you see videos, and there are other means of the education they have created. They have created just they have started free education from the simple apps, that is what WhatsApp, and later on they have started the bridge education and the so many other things they are there. You see what we have done now in a Punjab, we all the principals, we have had a meeting, virtual meeting, that Google Meet, like Zoom and all, WebEx. So there are so many type of the apps are there, and you know, in a remote area, in India, because most of the 70% population and schools are there in the remote areas and a rural area. But still now in this time, the India has taken, the teachers of our nation has taken the flag of the India high in education, because now the rural mother even can, she is able to open an app. Secondly, after the educating our children to acknowledge them, to make them aware about that what is this virus and how we have to maintain the distance and what type of the precautions we have to take. But the wonderful thing is that we have not closed the door of the education. Even the factories were closed. All institutions, maybe multinational companies were closed, but that education warriors, they start working on a very second day. One evening, we are getting an order from the Prime Minister of India or maybe from a WHO. He shut down all the institutions because the corona has come. But see, the education warriors, the principals, the teachers, they haven't stopped. Those who are working for, they are giving the 6 hours duty. They started working 24/7. Now, the bridge education we are talking about, flipped education is there. Here we are giving the education to the children, those who are present in the class after the reopening of the session. And later on, we are just sending their videos and other, you see, by the other sources to the children, those who are unable to come to the school.
So, ma'am, very quickly, if I have to ask you a question with respect to what percentage of students are coming in for physical classes in your schools?
Sir, you would be very happy to hear in our schools, the percent of the attendance is more than 95%. The children, the parents, they are eager to come to the school. They are very, very much willing to see their teachers. Now it has also been, you see, importance of the teacher. Now you can understand. So many things are there to give them education, but one-to-one education, the teacher is not a substitution of any type of education. Even the kids of pre-nursery classes, their attendance is 100%. The parents are very happy to drop them in the school. They are equipped with their sanitizer, all over the precautions have been given by the state government or by the teachers have been given to them. The schools are also maintaining them, and the parents, they are cooperating us in all the ways. Even last week, there was a sports meet in our school, and the attendance of the children, even though we invited the parents and we make the appropriate uh, arrangement according to the guidelines, but the physical growth, social awareness, critical thinking, and decision making can be created only when the child has coming to the school, and which is a part of the education policy, new education policy 2020. So I do believe that after reopening the school, the children, they are very eager, and the parents, they are also very happy. But we never knew. Again, the new virus has come. What would be the future? But now we are prepared, and my teachers, they are well equipped, and we are updating them with different, things in the coming future. They should have a more means of uh, education to deliver the children.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And it's very, very, very surprising actually to hear from you that more than 90% of the students are coming into the physical classroom in the last 2, 3, 5 months. So it's heartening to know that at least in some part of India we are seeing children's at least up to 90% going to school. Let me quickly go to Sangeeta ma'am and hear her perspective with respect to Kothari International School in Noida. That what has been her experience with respect to reopening as well as what's happening on the ground, and some light, ma'am, if you can throw on the state government policy as well, which will help the viewers to know more about what the state governments are recommending and what you have done for the school.
Namaskar to all eminent personalities, and thank you so much for inviting me and to share my thoughts and share my opinion regarding this pandemic, how the things are developing at our school and in UP. The state government policies, they were very clear. They wanted the schools to open, and they started from the month of July end that the schools are open for 9 to 12, and thereafter slowly they have given us that the schools may be open from class 1 onward. So we since our clientele is so here, there was no mandate as such that we have to take the parent consent. It was not clearly mentioned, as it is mentioned in the Delhi by the Delhi government, that it has to be clearly by the parent consent. The state government says open the school, and that was for the government schools. They have opened it up and they've started calling up the students, and then they moved up to class 8 and then to class 1. So that was a directive given by the government to all the schools to open up the schools for the students, and they have done it phase wise. We too have done it phase wise, but we have taken the parent consent. So we started with 12th and 10th. We called them up and we started slowly and steadily giving them those, opportunities and those experiences which they were missing in the online, like they have to do the practicals, they have to do hand-on exercises for the doubt clearing. And then we started subject-wise, we started calling them for the practicals, for the games, for the other experiences like art education, dance, music, which they were actually missing it in the online mode. Although we are giving that kind of an experience through the online portal also, but there is a difference. Something has to be experienced. So we started with that and we had a success. For the practicals and everything, 100% children, they came for 10th and 12th. But for the games, they were enthusiastic, but very disheartening to see only 20 to 30% children were coming. Then we opened up from 9 to 12th in the hybrid mode, because we have to open it hybrid mode, because online and offline has to be together, because not all the parents were ready to send their children to the school. So it was in hybrid mode. And but again, the number of students in ninth and 11th were very less than 10%. And in some cases, some of the students, when they're coming to the school and they wanted to come, and if there is only two and one student in one of the section, and they would come for 1 or 2 days, and then they say, ma'am, we feel bored because they are sitting all alone. They can't, because if they this humanity, I can't mix it up with the science. Only that the games periods were there when they can meet. So that went down. So this is what has happened to us, and then later on we have opened it up for the examination, all offline examination, pre-board examination for 10th and 12th. We have done it offline, and there 10th 100%, and for 12th 95% of the students, a given 5% still stayed back. They never came to the school. So this is the kind of thing for middle school. One day, no, 2 days a week they're coming to the school for the, as I mentioned to you, for the experiences for sports and the art education. For the primary, we have also opened it up. And as one of the panelists was mentioning that, I think Dr. From the Heritage School, Dr. Sunita ji, she said it is very surprising that the children from the pre-primary and primary, their parents are more ready to send their children. So for us also, 30% of them has, now they've said yes. Now the way we moved up in 4 and 5, it reduces to 26, 7, 8, only 10%. So we are trying very hard to bring and lure the children back to the school. That it's not the fault of the children. They've been used to it. Sitting at home, it's very easy to sit. To bring them out of that inertia is a very difficult part. So, and the second is whatever experience they miss at in the online class, we are trying to give it on the offline mode. So I think now again there is a scare new variant of the virus, and parent is still holding it back. But I think with the success of this board examination, where the children, so many children are coming, and we are taking all precaution. Um, I'm very sure, and if I look forward, 9 to 12th, we will have children coming back to the school after this board examination, and God willing, no untoward incident till date. So if nothing happens, they will come back, because now they have realizes that yes, there is a different, you know, to have that habit of coming back to the school. It's a Herculean task. It's not about government saying yes or no. It's also about the faith of the parent. It is also about the willingness of the children, especially the senior students. And that's why uh, in the primary and the pre-primary, where the parent mandate is there, we get more yes or no. But in the senior classes, where the children also have a say, we have less number of students. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So the narrative so far has been very clear that from a Delhi point of view, clearly more young children are waiting to get into the school and coming to physical classes. Same as the narrative in Punjab, where 90% of the pre-primary and primary students are coming to the school. And we are hearing similar kind of direction from Noida as well, by Dr. Sangeeta. Let us quickly go to Ghaziabad and Udaipur. So let me invite Nidhi ma'am to talk about Ghaziabad from her experience as well with respect to what's happening on the ground. And then we'll quickly go to Vasudha ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry for connecting a bit late. There were certain network issues going on,
No
and
worries.
we are already having the board exams today in the school premises, so that was majorly an issue. But yes, listening to my fellow panelists, definitely I also voice the same opinion. That 10th and 12th, yes, the we when we opened up and then the state government allowed 10th and 12th students were pretty enthusiastic, and parents also wanted. I think it was the pressure of the boards also lurking around, so they were more than willing to come. And yes, the practicals and all, we had a very nice response even during the pre-boards. Then we, of course, started for 9th and 11th also simultaneously. Initial response was still, I would say, was about ranging between 10 to 15%. Though, of course, we had also taken the prior consent of the parents. And for 9th and 11th, we again had our classes in the hybrid mode only. And but then the numbers have been going down. And even today, we just have, I think, only 5 to 7% of students of 9th and 11th who have come. And We have also started for the 6th to 8th again on a hybrid mode only, but then the numbers are very less, very, very less. And maybe, yes, the apprehensions of the parents are there. And similarly, when we had sent the consent for nursery to grade 5, we've had a very nice response there. Parents keep on ringing that we need to send, especially for the pre-primary. They have been telling us that we want to send our children, though at present we've not opened for them because our school being a board center and we have lot number of students, about 300 plus all students already appearing for the board exam. So we have not opened for them. We're planning to open for them in January after the winter break. But as the new variant is just the news is traveling, I think apprehensions are again growing amongst the parents, and I think it's more than the students, it's the parents' fear, which is a very natural thing. Always the parents have that fear, and so we're hoping, keeping our fingers crossed that nothing like such happened and we do get a good response, because definitely, though of course classes are going on in hybrid mode and even for co-scholastic also we are planning on things and everything, but the physical presence is very much needed for the students in the schools. So let's see how the session is going to culminate and commence. But we're all hopeful. And though, of course, our teachers are coming regularly to the school and taking the classes, whether it's online or offline, of course, they have to take from the school. Even the online classes are being conducted from the school. So we're using a lot of tools to give a very physical class like experiential environment to our students. But yes, there are concerns of the parents that are there. Thank you.
Sure, ma'am. I think clearly, so you have not started the pre-primary as of now
Yeah.
in your school largely, and you are the only one currently, odd one out. I have to hear from Sudha ma'am in terms of at least from a city point of view in Ghaziabad, what parents are thinking in the pre-primary stage. Rest, all the panelists have shared that largely parents are willing to send children, are already coming to the school in the pre-primary section as well. So let me
No,
quickly go.
even I think even in our pre-primary, the parents' consent has come. They want to send the children, but we have not opened as such for physically, because this being the month where when we are having the board exam. So even our
Sure.
parents are very willing to send the children as it stands, as per on the paper. But yes, when we physically open, definitely we will
See,
we will be in a better position.
yeah, definitely. So let me quickly go to Vasudha ma'am and understand from her what's her perspective, at least on our one of the heritage cities, the Udaipur, and what's happening there, ma'am.
So yeah, thanks Vikram and good afternoon also. Yes, a little different because we had lot of stages in the reopening of school by the government also. So what we did, we started in somewhere in September for our grade 9 to 12, and it was a consent based, and the instructions were of 50% attendance in the um, school as well as the school transport also. It moved on to the 50% consent attendance in school with and 100% in the transport. So the government has tried to move it in stages. But yes, strangely, I have seen 95 to 96% attendance across. We are seeing our senior schools, senior students also coming, and they look forward to come. We are our middle school also, our primary also. Our state government has been very particular, where they have mentioned that the schools have to start from grade 1 upwards. So we are not doing much in the pre-primary sector, though parents are ready. So hybrid mode was on from the day one, and since last month, in the month of November, mid November somewhere, we got 100% consent, 100% of the students coming to school. So the government has allowed that you can run the school on 100% capacity now. So I have lots and lots of students, but yes, there are certain parents, 10 to 20% odd parents, who will in each class, maybe, so where they would want the hybrid learning mode or online mode. So yes, logistically sometimes it is a challenge, because we run live hybrid mode. We are not having a separate for them, one separate for them. So yes, we are doing that, and we are doing pretty well. And let's see, with the everybody's been speaking about the new variant. So yes, one minor change that happened was that earlier we were allowed to conduct the assemblies also if we were maintaining the social distance and all that. But last week, due to the new variant of this Omicron, now the government has asked us to stop the assemblies and to stop the collecting the students at one place, and just follow it, just let them come into the classroom. So those protocols and everything we are following, and everything has happened in step by step stages in Rajasthan. So I think which is appreciable. You're muted, Vikram.
Sorry, ma'am. Ma'am, what percentage of the students are coming to the classroom, largely in the primary and secondary grades?
90%. Now, mostly 90 to 95%. I have not seen any challenge in my students not coming to the school, across.
Sure. Sure. So broadly, if we look at it, aside of Ghaziabad, where the school particularly has not opened the primary section due to CBSE exams are going on and they are a center, we clearly see that most of the regions have opened up schools across the board, and they are seeing at least in the range of 20 to 90% footfall, largely for primary grades. So a very important question which comes to mind when we discuss this is with respect to, clearly we are seeing that primary students as well as primary parents are largely okay in sending their kids, giving consent. uh, what about the secondary one, largely where uh, there is a large impact with respect to learning and all in the higher grades? If I have to quickly go to Sunita ma'am and ask that question, ma'am, what do you think from your learning point of view broadly in the last 18 months, since we are largely doing online learning? There is hybrid, but it has just started few months back. But what do you think that this will continue in the years to come, and how are you adopting this in the school?
So, Vikram, I must tell you that, children have been just brilliant on technology, as I mentioned, back home during COVID, they studied well. The only thing that they really missed was the sports class, which we did online, but that was not interesting for them. So that is something, and the performing art and visual art. These were like some areas which the children really missed on. Otherwise, if I look at other learning, since I have a collaborative model in my school. So collaborative model in the sense the children don't sit in rows; they sit in crews in the classes. So it's a 8 children crew. So they were also working in crews online. So that did not really hamper much of in terms of learning, academics. So I feel that the children were on the whole did not really missed out on academics, but yes, the physical presence and interaction, that is something that they missed out. Now, if I look at your question of how do we continue with technology and in the classroom, if I have understood it correctly, Vikram,
Yes.
टेक्नोलॉजी इन द क्लासरूम मेरे लिए बहुत मुश्किल है और मुझे लगता है ज़रूरी नहीं है. I don't think a child should be allowed a laptop and a phone in the classroom, because I personally feel that we have certain kind of a pedagogy in this classroom wherein a child has to do research and come back to the class, wherein they sit in their own crew, and there are certain working agreements and they discuss, and they are the ones who are actually carrying on with the class and doing the presentation and teaching. The teacher is just a consultant in the classroom, wherein the teacher, in case there is something, the entire presentation is dipping, the teacher just picks it up. That's the role the teacher has. I'm very happy for a teacher to sit in the corner and observe, or maybe just walk around and see how the children are learning from each other. And the crews are very well made, and that is also with the children. Like in a crew, we will have two very intelligent children, two children from the economically weaker section, and two children who are, maybe I would say, slow at learning. So that's how we form the crew of the class. So I personally believe that I'll not be able to manage those phones and laptops in the classroom. My children, if they carry a phone or laptop, I mean, there would always be those 10% children who would definitely get into something because there's so much out there. They're inquisitive about knowing, and they are still children. They don't know how to really disconnect. So there's always a distraction. But for me, the learning that has come from this is maybe during the PTM, the SLC, student led conference. We don't have PTM, we have SLCs, which is student led conference. Bahar bheed bahut hoti thi. There's so much of we always had this difficulty of parking of parents. So that is something that will continue online. There are a lot of workshops because visibility is a lot. Now, if I have to have a workshop in school, I can maximum have it for maybe 300 children. But with virtual learning, I think I can open it to thousands of my children and the children from various communities. It can be opened to the masses. It can be relayed on Facebook. It can be, so there is so much that we've learned. If I remember, prior to this, only the IT teacher was very well trained and accustomed to the computer. But within a week, I think everybody came to it. And so now, today, if I look at it, a Sanskrit teacher is also amazingly trained on technology. And the way they're using it is just brilliant. I absolutely agree with Manjeet Kaur ma'am that the way the teachers have picked it up, that's beautiful. The way they really brought in such a quick change. I mean, I remember my Sanskrit teacher, we didn't know that he has so many so much on technology. He helped everybody to learn in that 1 week. He recorded his program and he just posted on WhatsApp. So I was literally running the school on WhatsApp. That's how we've been able to be so quick. What I feel is this, what I could do in 5 years, I accomplished in 1.5 years. That was the raftar of, the learning and I would say sharing and learning. There was so much of collaboration that came in, which was so difficult. And collaboration, I'm not just talking about among the children or the teachers, among the entire education community. Everybody came in together because everybody wanted to know. This is the first time in the life of my life, in the history, I have seen the collaboration at world level in education. Otherwise, हम हमेशा उसी मोड में रहते हैं कि मैं लिख रहा हूँ, कोई देखे ना. So that's how we used to be in school as well, my own school. So, but then the education fraternity has really opened up, and they're ready to embrace today. So that's just beautiful. So we will use technology, but very thoughtfully. We will not create a problem from technology in our lives because teachers के पास बहुत काम है. उनके पास सिर्फ वो ये नहीं देखेंगे कि ये बच्चा कहीं कुछ रिकॉर्ड तो नहीं कर रहा है, ये बच्चा किसी की पिक्चर तो नहीं खींच रहा है. They don't have that time. That's going to really trouble the teachers. So it's better we, go very strategically on usage of gadgets in the lives of the children. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, Manjeet ma'am. What has been your experience with respect to adopting new technologies in the COVID era? I know you spoke about it in the beginning with respect to how teachers actually did it, and you also mentioned about using WhatsApp and all. But aside of that, and Zoom calls and Google Meets and all that, are there any practices which you are going to continue in the days and years to come from your experience, ma'am, in your schools?
No, sir. Now we have given a in our meetings, we are suggesting our teachers, ki now you have a time, you are coming to school, and as we all know, the new variant has come. So whatever they are teaching in the classes, they are keeping a record of it. Because before that, we are not aware that the time, which time has to become, and all of a sudden this was happened. Now we have so many, you see, like a teach next classes and smart classes board and all. So there the procedure of what we are doing here. First of all, for this middle classes, 6th to 8th, the number of students is always high. So we, in the beginning, what we have done, we have just make two sections of all the classes. Because this is the time the pre-primary students, they are very much settled. On a single order, single finger, keep your finger on a lips, they are ready to do that. But at that adolescence age, to maintain the discipline and make them, to keep them sit in a distance, we were finding some difficulty. So what we have done in the beginning, we were calling the students by alternate roll numbers. Then later on, we make two sections of those classes in which the number is high. So individual attention and proper protocol can be maintained. So I do believe that the online education or e-learning is sometime, some way, it is better than a one-to-one learning, because whatever the content the teacher is providing to the students, that is the knowledge given by the only one teacher. I know the explanation and understanding, it is much more better than any other source. But now the teachers, students are getting 20 to 25, 30% more content from the different sources. In the previous life, they were not doing that. Now they are searching themselves, they're preparing their notes. They're now, by this method, the competency level of the students is increasing. In our new education, what we are talking about, the paper, no subjective papers will be there till 2025. That system of education has been totally changed. Now this year, I think that most of the friends, they will agree that in a board examination, in a part 1, the children, they are getting multiple choice questions. Multiple choice questions are the competency based questions. Now there's no need to be that rote learning. We want that it should be removed. But in the previously, what we are doing, that the reading is of the lesson has been done, and what are the question answers on the back side of the exercise or on a workbook. And in few institutions, they are using guides also. The questions were giving, but now every word and every concept, it should be clear to the child. By this online education, I do believe that the teachers are they are now becoming more efficient, because he never knew that any child can ask any question at any moment. Because our new generation or 21st century generation, they are more active and more brilliant. The ma'am was discussing that in UP, they have not opened the schools, but I am blessed by two twins granddaughters. They are of 4+ age, and they are regularly, every day they are rushing to their schools. And when they are coming back, they are sharing their experience. So what is the lovely experience they are doing, and what are the changes in their behavior and activity, that we can judge very easily. When the child is sitting at the home, whatever the classes we are giving online, the child cannot learn the social skills. The children, they were losing their health, they are losing their eyesight, they are, you can see in this year span of 2 years, the children, they are becoming bulky. They have lost their heights because all the time they're sitting in the front of the cell phone or in the mobile or on the tab. I do believe that knowledge is good, but no other substitution was there. But now the children are benefited by both the education, whatever they will learn in the school, and now they are able to open all the apps, all the you see other education means the video, you see different apps, they know how to use it. And in future course of time, you see what will be happen, like the teachers and the students, they are creating their peer groups on Zoom mates and on Zoom also. This is a good result of this education. In the school, what we are doing, we are making a peer groups. Because when the children, they are sitting discussing anything in the peer or maybe in a group, that 8 or 9 or 10 minds, they are working together. So healthy result is coming out of it, and we hope and we wish the life should run like it, because the smile which we are watching on the faces of the children, that should not be removed. I have noticed in this time, in a what a span we have got at this 3 or 4 months, the children, they are very happy. They are very, very happy to meet their children, their friends, because they don't know what is the definition of friendship. What to sharing, caring, that has been lost. Empathy, sympathy, and the etiquettes, manners, attitude, that is somewhat somewhere that was missing. तो बच्चे घर बैठ के लाडले और हो जा रहे थे. तो एक टीचर जो उसको डिसिप्लिन में रख सकता है, मुझे लगता है कि एक स्कूल का जो एनवायरनमेंट इतना डिसिप्लिन होता है कि नाउ दे आर गेटिंग अप अर्ली इन द मॉर्निंग, दे आर taking bath, they are brushing their teeth, they are putting their uniform, and then they always come to me, Mama ji, just take our click or photo khicha ke, and they are moving to rushing to their schools, and they are carrying every day, they are carrying sweets or something, and now the things which are they are handling to their teachers, and teachers, they are taking proper care of them. So I do believe that in our secondary classes, the children, they are more benefited, because when the science, SST, mathematics, that could not be, we are not able to explain them on these boards. They wanted individual attention in these all subjects, because these subjects are concept-based subjects. So I do believe, because I am a observer of a NEET examination, and for the last 10 years, CBSE has assigned me for so many times to frame a question papers. So मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है कि आने वाले वक्त में अगर हम इतना अप्रिशिएट करेंगे ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन को, तो हमें ना अच्छे डॉक्टर्स मिलेंगे, सर्जन मिलेंगे, ना अच्छे आर्किटेक्ट मिलेंगे, क्योंकि जो वर्क है दैट इज बाय डूइंग, बाय प्रैक्टिस जो होता है ना, practice makes a man perfect. So practicals are very, very important, and wish and hope to the God, our children, they should go to the institutions, then only the holistic development of the child can be taken. That is there. That is my personal opinion. The holistic development of the child cannot be there in this walls. That is only in the institution, by the cooperation of the principals, teachers, students. When they move in a society, then the development, they develop in a 360-degree progress of the child is there. बच्चा पढ़ने से इतना नहीं सीखता, बच्चा पढ़ने से इतना नहीं सीखता जितना बच्चा देखने से सीखता है. किसी ने बहुत बड़े उसने लिखा है कि जितना मैंने 200 किताबें पढ़ी, और मेरा एक जो विजिट, एक मेरा जो कोई भी मेरी जर्नी रहती है, उससे जो मैं सीखता हूँ, उतना मैं 200 किताबें पढ़ने से भी नहीं सीखता. तो बाकी जो हमारे एफर्ट्स थे, we are doing at our level, we are providing them hybrid education. We are giving the, you people are working on it. You are providing us different platforms. In those circumstances, unavoidable circumstances, the children, they should not lagging behind. And still the India has proved that we are not lesser than anyone. My educators, my teachers, I salute my teachers once again, my principals, because those who work day and night and they search all the apps, all the other resources, other sources of education by which they can help their this new generation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I think आपने जो बताया point related to overall holistic growth of a child. Let me quickly go to Sangeeta, ma'am. Ma'am, how do you think that the reopening of schools impact the overall growth of those children who are impacted by lockdown, particularly in the primary and middle school, ma'am? Because you would have seen that now students have started coming back, and you will see the difference that last almost 2 years online teaching, and now they are coming in either the hybrid mode. uh, where do you see that? How will you impart the education which will help them for their overall growth? Ma'am, you are on mute.
Um, what I'm able to understand from your question is that you're saying how I'm looking at the future, whether it will be hybrid or the offline. Um, this is your
Yeah, ma'am. So
question.
that's one part of the question. The other part of the question is, मैम 2 साल से बच्चे largely एक online mode से पढ़ रहे हैं. अब वो बच्चे जब स्कूल में आएंगे, तो how will you manage their growth? Because there is a growth which has happened online. There are children who are impacted because of online education. So there will be a difference. If you're getting 2 kids in the classroom, there will be one kid probably who would have learned to some extent more than what is required, and there will be kids who are probably below average. So how will you manage this gap when the actual physical classrooms will start? So that's the second
So
part
I
of the
will
question.
just thank you. I'll just start with this. How do I see the future will be? Um, I think for the at least for the next year, I'm not going to the next 2 years, but the next year it may go on to the hybrid mode only, because we will have the pockets where maybe we may have lockdown. We will go totally online, and then we will again come back to offline and hybrid mode. But it will be till that vaccine part has been taken place and all the children are vaccinated and we are able to take care of all the variants. This will go on. But the good part is that we are now prepared. It is not the situation that we had it in 2000. 20 when the sudden lockdown. We have learned our lessons, and all my eminent panelists have already mentioned that we have all gone through that painful journey of learning very quickly. Now we are prepared, and this I can say with no, with utmost confidence that whatever be the situation, the learning will never stop. So whether it will be hybrid or totally online or totally offline, it will never stop. Uh, the place from where I am coming, that is my school is there, Noida and Delhi NCR. We have a unique situation. The schools closed for varied reasons. It may be the smog, it may be the pollution, it may be the winter, it may be the most summer, or it may be now the COVID. But now we know, even if it is closed for the pollution, we go off online totally. And this has happened in Noida, this has happened in Delhi. And the government says go on online. So schools were never closed. Now for the students, the difference in the growth, as I'm saying in my school, first of all, I want to clarify that I never said the schools are not open. Schools are open in UP, and my school is also open, but we are calling the students with the consent of the parent, and that's why we have different percentage at different grades. So somewhere it is 30, somewhere is 20, somewhere it is more, but it is with the parent consent. So there is not mandatorily thing that you have to come to the school. We cannot do that. So we are taking with the consent. The schools are open. In my schools also the children are coming. This is just to clarify, because one of the panelists say the schools are closed in UP. It's not. So I want to clarify that. The second thing is the difference between the growth of the school. I would say that we are in a very good position, Kothari International School. The way the teachers have taken forward, and I'm sure this must happen in other schools also. Um, and Dr. Sunita also mentioned that in the online, the teachers were so much trained, the way they have taken their lessons forward, the way they have, tweeted their pedagogical strategy. The learning has not hampered. Yes, the checking, the assessment of the learning has hampered. I would say that the assessment has, we find it difficult to get that, but not about the strategy, the pedagogical strategy that we are saying. The second thing is about the students, they are lacking into the discipline. Their social life has, you know, is affected a lot. It has gone to the six. There are children who are getting into the depression. There are children who are demotivated, and we cannot put this under the carpet. This is the reality. And there are children, when we ask them to speak online, they are not able to speak. They have a fear. So these are of is a very less percentage, but they are there. So as you're saying, there is a difference. We are able to make it out, and we are asking them, please come on offline, and then we can talk to you. And then we are helping them, and we are able to help them. There are specially able children, and my school have specially able children. For them, the learning actually got hampered, because because if we talk about autistic children, this their exposure to the sound and the light, it actually hampered, because for every autistic children, that sensory stimulus by which they are affected is different. So there we face the difficulty, but now since we have opened up the school, they're coming to the school, we are able to help them. So the difference in the growth of the children, yes, through scaffolding, to find out how where they are lacking. A diagnostic test, we have also done it, because when we finish it and when we ask the children to go to the next class, and especially in the primary and lower secondary, that is 6th, 7th, 8th, I'm talking about, we do take diagnostic, and we come to know here the child is lacking, and the learning outcomes which should be there at the end of class 6, 7, and 8, and last year we have done it. We have provided a scaffolding to the children, so that we are able to gap up, we are able to cover up that gap. Socially, yes, the children are affected. Even we were all affected when we were sitting at home and we were working remotely. Although through the through Zoom, through the Gmeet, through WhatsApp, through all the technology, we are able to connect with each other. But we were connected, we were also not connected. No, it is like when we all came back to the school and we met each other physically, it was a pleasure. And the children who come back to the school, they're also feeling that. So if the things are all right, they will come back to the school. We will be able to bridge that gap. And yes, I agree with Dr. Sunita that that bring your own device. It's a long dream. The schools are not prepared right now to handle that. We need to have those firewalls in place, and we have to see the children are not using that virtual world. They're not getting into virtual dark world, because that's a fear with us, because they are more advanced than us in terms of going into the technology and using the technology. So I would say we are not prepared right now. Maybe few schools are, but my school, and I can talk about in general, we are not prepared for bring your own device. But it may happen. It may happen, because nobody has thought in 2020 that we will go totally online. Who had thought of it? But so that is a possibility. And yes, we are preparing ourselves. The the different online free resources, all teachers are aware of it. And I would say the salute and kudos to teachers, how they have taken up to the disruptive change. Everywhere everything stops and we learned, we unlearned and then we relearn. So that is something that we have to give it to our teachers. So this is what my opinion is. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. And ma'am, you very briefly touched on the topic related to assessing the students. So let me just go to Nidhi ma'am and Vasudha ma'am to just understand more in deep that what are the new approaches for assessing students and measuring their learning outcomes in the hybrid mode. Because clearly in the classroom we have done it, in the online we have done it. So you think that there will be any change in assessing the students when some are coming online, some are coming offline? And how will you ensure that the learning imparted in online as well as in offline mode is to the T from a learning point of view? So Nidhi ma'am, Vasudha ma'am, any one of you can pick up.
Can I start?
I think
As I told you, I have to rush for a
Sure,
meeting, so
sure,
I'll
ma'am.
just brief.
Yeah.
So, see, any which ways, every school has a different way of assessing the students, and it is like we always do a part of, there are some formative assessments, summative assessments, end year examinations. So it's a blend and plethora of activities how we go. And I feel that technology is going to stay with us. It is something we cannot um, avoid it, whether we allow our students to have the devices, or we don't allow our students to have the devices in school, because every school has their different. But having said that, yes, students are technologically savvy, students know many of the things. And there were challenges when we were talking about assessments online, because whatever said and done, if they were not proctored well, so we knew that children had their own means to come to the right answers, or whatever. So of course, it has to be blend of online and offline assessments, and we had a lot of offline assessments, and where we saw that the academically the results of the students had gone down. They had regressed a bit, because whatever they were um, in their own comfort zones of their home, and now coming. And Vikram, of course assessments was a challenge, but it was like after 18 months we had to start from scratch for the students as well as teachers also. So from the basic things, when we were on the school rounds, or we were saying, students had forgotten to greet the teachers also, because it was a very very basic things. So we had to actually start from the scratch. And yes, it took time, and we couldn't blame the students also. And now coming back to the assessments, so yes, there were many platforms, like Mercer and other platforms, who had worked pretty well. But I still feel that the combination of both online and offline, because whatever said and done, how much we say, technology is going to stay, and technology is going to take over a lot of things completely. And if you remember, when we were talking about the UNESCO new guidelines, that they have come up with 7 or 9 guidelines. So one of the very very important aspect is about technology and scientific thinking that they have spoken about. So that is the thing that is going to stay. And if you allow me, so there was something I had made. So they said that with the protect social spaces in the schools, and then they talk about make free and open source technologies for teachers and students. So that UNESCO is talking about, and somewhere down the line it will impact the global education nationally and internationally. That's it. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. It's helpful. Nidhi ma'am, what's your view on that?
Thank you, Vikram. Basically, yes, I do agree that offline mode is the best mode of assessment, and offline teaching cannot be replaced by the online. But yes, this 1.5 years of pandemic and online teaching has also exposed us to many gaps in the teaching learning processes. Also, which I think all the think tanks were sitting here would agree that we need to work upon. Definitely the assessment, if I talk of the assessment tools, there have been many online tools that we've used, the Flipgrid, or we talk of the Jamboard, or we talk of the Insert Learning, and of course the Padlets and other things that teachers have come up. They've equipped themselves. And if looking at Ghaziabad scenario, we used to have often those week 10 days the classes used to suspend during the cover time and all. So I think owing to all those things, definitely we've got, now we're looking at the online and the hybrid mode of teaching learning processes that has come through. But yes, there is still a lot more that we can achieve. And here I would also like to say that the somewhere the training of the teachers in to equip them both in online and offline mode is very, very important. And teachers training, as we have always been telling, that is a very, very important aspect of any teaching learning process, and we need to work upon that also. And looking at the assessment tools, yes, we have been as ma'am had shared, Sangeeta ma'am did share that yes, the during the online teaching, assessments have taken a bit of a backseat. Though yes, many things have come up also, but then to train the teachers on assessment tools is again a very important thing that we need to look upon and we need to do about it. That's
No
from my
doubt
side.
about that, ma'am. I think it is quite relevant that train the trainers should be done by each and every school to ensure that the teachers are trained to use the technology to the T, and whatever they are doing with respect to imparting learning or assessing a student needs to be done in a way that they understand it well, which can be utilized well for the students and parents in the days to come. So we are almost at the fag end of the discussion. Before we wrap up, just a question on a lighter note, largely to understand more about, if given an opportunity and obviously with parents consent and everything is under control, I know all the educators would like to open up school fully 100% for all classes. But if given an opportunity, looking at when we started the discussion, it was an eye opening thing for me to know that the primary students have been the most willing, or the primary parents would have been the most willing parents to send the kids back to the school. And I'm asking this question on a lighter note because I'm a parent of a 5-year-old. My child got admitted pre-COVID for nursery in Gurgaon, and for the last 1.5 years she has not seen the school. And every day she has been telling me and my wife that I need to go to school. And there are these notices which come. Our school was supposed to start from 1st of October. Now it has been pushed to 15th of December. And I don't know honestly whether it will start on 15th or not. So from that point of view, what do you think that when COVID happened and then the normalcy started coming in, people said that we should open up school for the higher grades first. Whereas on the ground, if we talk about it, it's completely reverse, that the pre-primary, primary students are willing to come, parents are willing to send, and we are not seeing a large number of secondary students converting and coming to school. तो अगर आपको एक मौका दिया जाए तो कौन से क्लासेस को आप पहले स्टार्ट करोगे? Anyone can pick this question.
I think my vote will definitely still go for senior grades because our education system is primarily, and we have the the higher education, colleges, admissions, everything starts automatically. The higher grades, if we go by that, we have to have the higher grades coming first because of the assessment pattern in our boards and all. But अगर दिल से पूछो तो definitely I would love the younger ones to come in
So
so
if
that
I
they can get traumatized. Yeah.
Yes,
And if
Sangeeta
I
ma'am.
pitch in, I would say if I have to make a decision, I will go with this logic. This is the senior school, they are at the fag end of their school education. and they need to go out. They need to have their, on the basis of their performances, they will be moving on to the next part of their learning. Either whether it is professional or academic learning, whatever they want to take it up. So for them, it is necessary. And for the younger children, um, it's a delight to have them back because they are the soul of the school. All the children are. It's a very difficult decision to take it up. But if in the priority wise, looking at where we don't have freedom in terms of assessment, that's the senior school, and that goes with every board we are associated or are registered with. So it would be the senior classes. Thank you.
No doubt, ma'am. I completely agree with you on this piece related to senior classes, and I just want to push this envelope to the viewers, largely the parents, that, and please don't get offended. I'm not trying to offend anyone with my words or my deeds, but I want to just put it forward here that I see a lot of children in the secondary school going to picnic, going to friends' birthday parties, going to relatives' house, and all that. Parents, consent मांग रही है school to send your child with COVID protocols and all, keeping in mind definitely the new variant and all. I'm not denying the fact I'm a parent myself. It's a humble request to ensure that you should be with the school and drive these students back to school eventually. So all kudos to all the panelists. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your views with respect to what has happened on the ground, what we are going to do in the future, and how this thing has taken a shape. Thank you all the panelists for your time.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
It was
Vikram,
a
for giving the
pleasure.
opportunity. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you. Neha, over to you.
Indeed,
Close.
it was an informative session on COVID-19 learnings for the education sector. The session was well moderated by Mr. Vikram Shah of UniApply. We would like to thank all the speakers and the moderator for joining us on the day 2 of this Global Education and Skill Conclave. So join us next at 1:45 p.m. for yet another learning panel discussion. Stay tuned. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye. Take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye. Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you all the ma'am.